So, surveys and interviews still are the way that most people think, and they are highly efficient, and they can collect both qualitative and quantitative numeric data. So I thought we would spend a little bit of time really talking about what you should think about when you're creating surveys and interviews, or when you are adapting surveys and interviews that exist. And again, as I said, in this case, I'm not going to present to you any sample surveys. You can find them in Pathways. There are a number of them in there. But you want to design the questionnaire to fit the medium. So, for example, rating scales. If you're doing this via telephone interview, if you have done, if you have been interviewed by people on the phone, you know how difficult it is to focus on multiple choice questions when they are rattling them off to you. And what you may want to think about is open-ended questions for that. So you want to make sure that, again, that the way you're delivering the survey is aligned with the kinds of questions and the way you ask the questions. This is the most important tip I can give you. KISS. Keep it short and simple. Really, avoid the temptation to just add a few more questions. Every question that you add decreases your response rate. Divide your questions into 3 categories: what you must know, what would be useful to know, and what would be nice to know. And then throw out every last one of the nice to know questions, because they are counterproductive. A survey or an interview is engaging in a relationship. So always start with an introduction or a welcome message that explains who you are, why you're gathering the data, and what you're going to do with it. Just to go deeper into this, in personal interviews, either face-to-face or on the phone, it's really vital for the interviewer to connect with the interviewee. You have to reassure the respondents that their results will only be reported in the aggregate. If you send out mailed questionnaires, number each page. If you have subject numbers, put the subject number on each and every page so things don't get lost and separated. Include the return address on the questionnaire itself, and whenever possible, include a self-addressed stamped envelope. That'll increase your response rate. If you're going to do in-person completion of the surveys, you got to create a way for people to return the surveys anonymously. Put them in a box, put them in an envelope, give them to a third party, whatever. Layout. Just make sure that you leave sufficient space. Make sure that the questionnaire is attractively laid out and that it follows the things that are lined up so that your sight line goes across or goes down, but that it just makes logical sense. Always leave a space at the end for other comments, and always thank the respondent at the end. And finally, pre-test it. Whether it has 2 questions on it or 1,000,000, pre-test it. Ideally, pre-test it with somebody who's like the person who's going to be a respondent, but if you can't, pre-test it by giving it to a colleague. They will pick out, help you see where there are inconsistencies, where something is unclear, where the questions aren't asked correctly. So make sure that you have at least one other set of eyes. Okay, so the order. When we're talking about question and answer choice order, there are two main things we got to look at. How the order could encourage or discourage people from completing the survey, and how it could affect results. Whenever possible, leave any difficult or sensitive issues till near the end, and that includes demographic questions. Don't put name, age, gender. If you're going to have to ask about those, don't put them at the beginning. They may be easy for you to answer, but they're loaded. Whenever there's a logical or a natural order to the choices, use it. For example, you go from positive to negative on the scale, from excellent to poor, go higher numbers,